Hello students, hope you are safe and healthy. Welcome to my channel. In our last class, we have discussed about arrival of English East India Company, Battle of Plassey, Battle of Boxer, the Carnatic Wars. Today, we will discuss about how the company expanded its empire, what were their annexation policies, the reform measures undertaken by them. Let's understand how the company expanded its empire. If we analyze the process of annexation of Indian state by the East India Company from 1757 to 1857, certain key aspects emerge. The company rarely launched a direct military attack on an unknown territory. Instead, it used a variety of political, economic, and diplomatic methods to extend its influence before annexing an Indian kingdom. Let's first discuss about Anglo-Maratha War, started in 1775 and ended in 1818. From the late 18th century, the company sought to curb and eventually destroyed Maratha power. With their defeat in the Third Battle of Panipat in 1761, the Marathas' dream of ruling from Delhi was shattered. They were divided into many states under different chiefs, also known as Sardars, belonging to dynasties such as Scindia, Holkar, Gaikwad, and Bhosles. These chiefs were held together in a confederacy under a Peshwa who became its effective military and administrative head based in Pune. Mahatji Scindia and Nana Padnis were two famous Maratha soldiers and statesmen of the late 18th century. The Marathas were subdued in a series of wars. In the first war that ended in 1782 with the Treaty of Salbai, there was no clear victor. The Second Anglo-Maratha War was fought on different fronts, resulting in the British gaining Odisha and the territories north of the Yamuna River, including Agra and Delhi. Finally, the Third Anglo-Maratha War of 1817 to 1818 crushed Maratha power. The Peshwa was removed and sent away to Bithur near Kanpur with a pension. The company now had complete control over Maratha territories. Now, let's discuss Anglo-Mysore War, 1766 to 1799. In the last 3 decades of the 18th century, the British got involved in a conflict with the powerful kingdom of Mysore, which was ruled by Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan. Mysore controlled the profitable trade of the Malabar coast, where the company purchased pepper, cardamom, and other items. In 1785, Tipu Sultan stopped the export of sandalwood, pepper, and cardamom to the port of his kingdom, and this allowed local merchants from trading with the company. He also established a close relationship with the French in India and modernized his army with their help. With these activities, the British were furious and saw Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan as ambitious, arrogant, and dangerous rulers who had to be controlled and crushed. Four wars were fought with Mysore between 1766 to 1799. These wars are known as the Anglo-Mysore Wars. Finally, in 1799, in the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, Tipu Sultan was defeated by the British in the Battle of Seringapatam. Tipu Sultan died defending his capital Seringapatam, and Mysore was brought under British control by imposing Subsidiary Alliance. With this, we come to an end of Anglo-Mysore War. But wait, let me tell you an interesting fact. Did you know Tipu Sultan was known as the Tiger of Mysore? Let me tell you why. It is said that once he went hunting in the forest with a French friend. There he came face to face with a tiger. His gun did not work, and his dagger fell to the ground. He battled with the tiger unarmed until he managed to reach down and picked up the dagger. Finally, he was able to kill the tiger in the battle. After this, he came to be known as the Tiger of Mysore. Now, let me show you a picture. This is the picture of a big mechanical toy that Tipu possessed. You can see a tiger mauling a European soldier. When its handle was turned, the toy tiger roared and the soldier shrieked. This toy tiger is now kept in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. The British took it away when Tipu Sultan died defending his capital Seringapatam on 4 May 1799. So this was all about Anglo-Mysore War and Tipu Sultan. Now let's start annexation policies of the British East India Company. Till now we have seen how British East India Company annexed and expand its control over the Indian territory by fighting wars and battle, but they also annexed some of the Indian kingdom without fighting any wars or battle. Here a question might come in your mind. How did the company annex without fighting wars and battle? Let me tell you how. They did this by adopting the following policies. such as Doctrine of Lapse, Subsidiary Alliance, and Direct Annexation on various grounds. Now let's discuss them one by one. Let's start with Doctrine of Lapse. Lord Dalhousie devised the Doctrine of Lapse. According to this doctrine, only the natural son would succeed the throne and not the adopted son in the event of the ruler's death. So, states without natural son were annexed by the British. One after another kingdoms were annexed simply by applying this doctrine. These kingdoms were Satara in 1848, Sambhalpur of Odisha in 1849, Bhagat in 1850, Jhansi in 1853, and Nagpur in 1854, etc. Now comes the Subsidiary Alliance. The Subsidiary Alliance was devised by Lord Wellesley. Under the Subsidiary Alliance, the ruler of a state was provided with military security. Once provided with military security, the princely state could remain independent so far as internal matters were concerned, but they could not exert any independence outside of the state. The British Company's resident was kept in the court of the Indian king, and the princely states had to pay an annual amount towards the cost of the resident. The Indian ruler could not employ any European for his service without prior approval of the British. The Indian ruler were also not allowed to negotiate with any other Indian ruler without consulting the Governor General. The princely states which were annexed by the British under Subsidiary Alliance were Hyderabad, Mysore, Peshwa, Mosley, and Sindhia, Udaipur, Jodhpur, and Jaipur. Now, direct annexation. Annexation of Awadh. The Nawab of Awadh had many heirs and could not, therefore, be covered by Doctrine of Lapse. So the British had to come up with some other pretext to deprive him of his dominions. Therefore, Nawab Wajid Ali Shah was accused of having misgoverned his state and of refusing to introduce reforms. His state was annexed in 1856 on ground of maladministration. The annexation of Awadh created great discontent in the British army, as most of the sepoys in the army were from Awadh. Now, let's discuss reform measures undertaken by the company. First is the administrative reforms. The political and trade victories of the English East India Company and the enormous wealth amassed by the governor brought the company under the scrutiny of the British Parliament. Well, in the year 1773, the British government passed a regulating act which gave the Parliament greater control over the company's territories in India. Here, a council comprising of the Governor-General and 4 councillors were appointed to govern Bengal. Then, the Pitt's India Act 1784 further deepened the British government's control over the company. A board of control was established to supervise its working. The Charter Act of 1813 ended the company monopoly over trade in India and allowed other investors to trade with India. The Governor-General became the effective ruler of the company territories in India. Now, civil administration reforms. When Lord Cornwallis became the Governor-General of India after Warren Hastings, he aimed at changing the administration. The greatest work of Cornwallis was the overhauling of the civil service by employing capable and honest public servants. He discovered that the servants of the company were underpaid, but they received very high commissions on revenues. In addition to that, they conducted forbidden and forbiddable private trade in the name of relatives and friends. Cornwallis abolished the vicious system of paying small salaries and allowing enormous perquisite. He persuaded the director of the company to pay handsome salaries to the company servants in order to free the servant of commercial and corrupting activities. Further, he introduced the policy of making appointments mainly on the basis of merit. These laid the foundation of the Indian civil service. Another major reforms that Cornwallis introduced was the separation of the 3 branches of service: commercial, judicial, and revenue. All high posts were reserved for the English, and the Indians were only appointed for subordinate posts. Now, judicial reforms. The first Governor General of Bengal, Warren Hastings, established separate court of civil and criminal administration at district level to be presided by district commissioner. However, elaborate judicial hierarchy in province of Bengal was provided by Lord Cornwallis, who is regarded as father of modern administration in India. Now, from 1772, a new system of justice was established. Each district was to have 2 courts, a criminal court and a civil court. Maulvis and Hindu Pandits interpreted Indian laws for the European district collector who presided over civil court. The criminal court were still under a Qazi and a Mufti, but under the supervision of the collectors. But a major problem was that the Brahmin Pandits gave different interpretation of local laws based on different schools of the Dharma Shastra. To bring about uniformity, in the year 1775, 11 Pandits were asked to compile a digest of Hindu laws. N.B. Halid translated this digest into English. By 1778, a code of Muslim laws was also compiled for the benefit of European judges. Under the Regulating Act of 1773, a new Supreme Court was established, while a Court of Appeal, the Southern Nizamat Adalat, was also set up at Calcutta. The principal figure in an Indian district was the collector. As the title suggested, his main job was to collect revenue and taxes and maintain law and order in his district with the help of judges, police officers, and darogas. His office, the Collectorate, became the new center of power and patronage that steadily replaced previous holders of authority. Now, let's talk about police reforms. For effective implementation of judicial reforms, the police administration had to be reorganized. The district judge controlled the police. Each district was divided into thanas or police circles, each of which was about 20 square miles. It was placed under an Indian officer called the Daroga, who was assisted by many constables. However, police organization was not effective. In the word of Marshman, the Daroga enjoy almost unlimited power of extortion and become the saugers of the country. Other than police reforms, Cornwallis reformed the Board of Trade, which managed the commercial investment of the company. With the aid of Charles Grant, he eradicated numerous abuses and corrupt practice. Fair treatment was given to weavers and Indian workers. He increased remuneration for honest service. With this, your chapter 2 comes to an end. Thank you.